Hello, I'm Tim Jones, owner of Accelerate Computer Training. In this series of videos, I'm teaching you how to use Microsoft Word 365 for Windows or Mac to produce long documents, anything that needs numbered headings, in a way that lets you easily rearrange and reformat. Here are the steps I recommend, and in this video, we'll be covering Step 4, Set Header and Footer Content, Inserting Section Breaks. In the previous video, we generated this table of contents automatically using heading-styled paragraphs. Now we want to add page numbers and other stuff to the bottom of each page. If you know where they are, you could just double-click into the header or footer to add or edit content. But when they're empty like this, it's easier to switch to the Insert tab of the ribbon and click the Header or Footer menu. There are many professionally designed footers to choose from, but if you want to build your own, just click Edit Footer and you're into Header and Footer View. Notice the body of the document looks faded and the Contextual tab that just appeared on the ribbon, full of useful commands that we'll use shortly. You can type directly into a header or footer. It gets its formatting from a built-in style called footer, which includes a centered tab stop in the middle and a right-aligned tab stop at the right margin. We can just press Tab to jump to that first tab stop where perhaps we'd like to show current date. On the Header and Footer tab, in the Insert group, click Date and Time. Turn on the Update Automatically checkbox if you want to insert a date as a field that will update to today's date every time you open the document. Choose a format and click OK. As we saw with tables of contents, fields show gray when you're in them. Let's tab over to the final tab stop where we want page numbers. To have the most precise control over the positioning of your page numbers, avoid these first three menu choices and use Current Position, meaning exactly where the insertion point is now. There are many options, simple to fancy. I'm going with plain number to insert the page number field. And then if we want to add page or whatever, we just type it. We can use the Format Page Number command to apply different types of numbering to our page numbers, including alphabetic or Roman numerals in upper or lower case. We can even include chapter number as a prefix. Remember, we've already applied the Heading 1 style to each chapter title, so here we tell it that any Heading 1 paragraph marks the beginning of a new chapter. And click OK. By default, header and footer content appears on every page, even the title page. If you want to have different header and footer content, or no header and footer content on the first page, you can turn on the Different First Page checkbox, which adds first page header and first page footer elements. Whatever you put in them appears on the first page only of this section of the document. Now, I'll describe sections in a moment. All subsequent pages of this section use the regular header and footer. Let's leave the first page header and footer empty to keep the title page clean. I used the word section just then. You need to understand what sections are because headers and footers are section-specific formatting, meaning you can have different header and footer content in each section. A section is simply a portion of a document. How much? It could be as big as the entire document or as small as one paragraph. A section is defined wherever you insert a section break. If there are no section breaks, then the entire document is one big section. We'll divide this document into two sections for now, one for the front matter, which includes the title page and table of contents, and another for the body content, the chapters. I recommend customizing the status bar. Just right-click it to show the section number so you'll always know what section your cursor is in. To insert a section break, put the cursor at the beginning of the paragraph that should begin the new section. Then, on the Layout tab of the ribbon, click Breaks and choose one of the four types of section breaks, depending on what kind of page break you want at the beginning of the new section. In a traditional printed book, bound, two-sided with facing pages, each chapter starts on a right side or odd numbered page. But when publishing to PDF for on-screen reading, Next Page works best. Here is the Next Page section break we just inserted. Above it is Section 1, and below it is Section 2. Theoretically, we should be able to customize the footer for this first section without affecting Section 2, but watch this. I'll change Page to PG, and then use the navigation command Next on the Header and Footer tab of the ribbon to move down to the next footer element, which is the first page footer for Section 2. Section 2 has a first page footer? Yes, Section 2 inherited this different first page attribute from Section 1. But Section 2 doesn't really need a different first page footer, so I'll turn that off. Now the first page of Section 2 uses the regular footer of this section. Getting back to custom footers per section, you see that the change from Page to PG happened here too. That is because of a feature called Link to Previous. When Link to Previous is on for a section header or footer, this Same as Previous label will appear here, indicating that this element is linked to its counterpart in the previous section. Changes made in the footer of Section 1 will affect this footer, and vice versa. To break that link, turn off Link to Previous in the lower section. Now we can change PG back to Page, and then navigate up to the previous section's footer, which has not changed to Page. They are no longer linked. Now we can make all sorts of changes here to the footer in Section 1 without affecting Section 2. In Section 1, the front matter, let's change the page number format to appear in lowercase Roman numerals without the chapter numbers. The second page of the document displays Roman numeral 2, the third page Roman numeral 3, just as they should. The footer of Section 2 has not been affected by changes to the previous section's footer, because we had turned off Link to Previous. Now, this being the first page of the main body of the document, let's make it restart its page numbering at 1. Our footers look great, and headers work exactly the same way. Click subscribe if you'd like to be notified when we release new videos, and visit our website, acceleratecomputertraining.com, if you're looking for live, hands-on small group training for yourself or your team over Zoom, taught by me or one of our other experienced instructors.